Hello, welcome to CC3031. In operating system theory class, last class we ended with learning the convoy effect in a fast come fast serving scheduling algorithm. Okay, so we will learn another scheduling algorithm today, or some algorithms actually. So this is the one. So this is now shortest job fast in SJF. Okay. So scheduling algorithm in batch systems. Of course, we are studying about batch systems. Okay. What kinds of algorithm will be appropriate for batch systems. Okay. So here another one is shortest job fast. Schedule the job with the shortest runtime fast. So which process has the shortest runtime, it will gets the CPU first. Okay, clear idea. Requirement: the runtime needs to be known in advance. Okay, so here is the requirement. The runtime of each process needs to be known in advance to the scheduler. Okay, so SJF is optimal in terms of turnaround if all jobs arrive at same time. So this line is quite confusing. We will see next. We will see after some time what is the importance or significance of this line. Okay. So we have learned what is optimality in the last class. In this lecture, we will see mathematically the optimality. Okay, of an algorithm. Like some of you may recall the optimality thing from algorithm course. Okay, so how SJF is work. Okay. Okay. So here are some processes and burst time or duration of the process, order or arrival time. Okay. So this should be little bit high. So there. Okay. Now it looks fine. Okay. Okay. Whatever. P1 needs 6 seconds. P2 needs 8 seconds. P3 needs 7 seconds. P4 needs 3 seconds. All of the processes. Arrival time is same. Okay. The arrival time of the all processes is same. Okay. We can uh, uh, we can permute them by order 1, 2, 3, 4 or something like any order, but shortest duration time. Okay, so here comes the fun part. Who is the most who is the most shortest duration time? uh, the one is the answer is P4. P4 needs only 3 seconds to finish its job, but the other three need more than 3 seconds. So scheduler will give CPU to the P4 at first. Okay, so P4 starts its job at 0 second because it has the shortest duration by burst time. Okay, so it will ended up by 3. Okay, so it will end by 3. Okay, then who is the then if P1 if when P1 is done, sorry, P1 has done its job. Okay, P1 is out of the ready queue. Okay, so P1, P2, P3 are the processes in the ready queue. Which one will run next? Now, which one will run now after P1 has done its job? So the answer is obviously we need to find the lowest value of the duration time. Uh, so here we see there is P1. So okay, then P1 will start its journey because it has the second lowest, the lowest among as lowest. It has the lowest duration time to finish its job among P1, P2 and P3. Okay, so P3 will start at third second and end by 9th second. Okay, so after then P1 is done. P1 is done. We are two processes in the ready queue. They are P2 and P3. But again we have to find the lowest. We have to find the lowest duration time of its job, so that it can get the CPU from scheduler. So scheduler finds that P3 has the shortest time among P2 between P2 and P3. So then after P1 is finished, after P1 is done, then P3 will start its job at 9th second and it will end by 16th second. So the final one is only P2. So here the arrival time of all processes is same, but the order is not the order of the work or mm, is not is the same as the arrival time or the in this order. Okay, there as P4 at first gets the CPU, then P1, then P3 and P2. Okay, so it is based on the shortest duration time. Okay, so now what are the turnaround values for this? Okay, so for P4, we know that end time minus start time or arrival time. End time minus start time. Yeah, end time minus submission of a job and end of a job. Okay, end time minus arrival time is the turnaround time of a process. Okay, so for P4 3 minus 0, for P1 9 minus 0, for P3 16 minus 0, because for each process the arrival time is 0. So 3 minus 0, 9 minus 0, 16 minus 0 and 24 minus 0, it is equal to 24, 16, 9 and 3. So the average turnaround time will be the sum of all turnaround values we find divided by 4, because the number of processes is 4. Okay. So look, total execution time is 24. That's it. The time, the total length of the Gantt chart. Okay. So now, okay, pretty simple. Here is the simple job first example, the simulation. Okay, it's very easy. So when we compare to first come first service, uh, so what is the difference between them? How can we know? Which one is better for our batch systems? Okay, so we will find the difference between the performance metrics of each algorithm. Okay, so we know that performance metrics are turnaround time, like average time. It could be average time, whatever it is. Okay, so definitely there was two. We know that the turnaround time and the other one is throughput. Okay, number of jobs per hour or day, whatever it is. No problem. Okay, so for this scenario, in this scenario, we will apply first come first service algorithm. Let's see which. Let's draw the Gantt chart for first come first service. So here, as the arrival time of all processes is same, so now we have order P1, P2, P3, P4. The duration of each the duration time of each the duration time of the task of each process is given. So now P1 starts its job at first, because because its order is 1. So P1 start at 0th second and end by 6th second. Okay, then P2 will get the CPU. P2 start at 6 and end by 14, as it's its duration is 8. So 6 plus 8 equal to 14. Then P3 will start at 14 and will end by 21. Then the rest one will do same. Okay. So 21 to 24 as its job duration is 3 seconds. Okay, like that. Okay, now for turnaround time, we have to find the end time minus arrival time of each process. Okay, so for P1, the end time is 6, arrival time is 0. Okay, so 6 minus 0 equals to 0. For P2, 14 is the end time, so 14 arrival time is 0 for P2 we as we have seen as we have seen in the topology or this graph given graph. Okay, so for P3 21 minus 0, for P4 24 minus 0, they are the turnaround times. Okay, now 6 plus 14 by 21 plus 24 by 14 equals to 16.25. Okay, so in the start of this scheduling algorithm or batch system, we learned that we are focusing to minimize we are focusing to minimize we were focusing to minimize the turnaround time all the time, all over the time. Okay, all over the last lecture. Okay, so here comes the actual difference. In SJF, the turnaround time only is 13 seconds, and first come first serve. In first come first serve, it is 16.25 seconds. So which has the minimum value? Of course, shortest job path. So comparing to FCFS, SJF is better because of the person metrics of performance of turnaround time. Okay, so in SJF, turnaround time is uh, lower or shorter than FCFS. Okay, so this is a part. Now, for SJF, SJF is not always optimal. Okay, so SJF optimal only if all jobs have arrived at the scheduling time. That means if SJF has arrived, all of the processes have arrived. All of the processes have arrived at the same time. Okay, then SJF is optimal. Otherwise, not. Because in this scenario, P1 P1 process P1 process needs 10 seconds or 10 minutes to do its job. Okay, its arrival time is 0 second, but P2 need only 2 seconds to finish its job. Okay, so the arrival time of P2 is 2. Okay, okay. Now if SJF is worked here, P2, if they come both at the same time, then P2 will get the CPU first from the scheduler. But here arrival time is 0 because P1 comes first. So P1 has given the P1 has been given the CPU by scheduler uh, because it comes first and no other content is here. Okay, so we are seeing this actually not good because for P1 turnaround time is 10 and for P2 turnaround time is also 10 because 12 minus 12 minus arrival time is 2. For P1, its end time is 10, arrival time is 0. So 10 minus 10 0 equal to 10, 12 minus 2 equals to 10. So average turnaround time is 10. But it's not looking good because if you think like that, P1 starts its journey, then when P2 ends, when P2 enters or requests, we should scheduler should give him a chance because it needs only 2 seconds. Okay, so it will end at 4 seconds. Then uh, p uh, p2 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 needs 2 seconds to its job, then P1 starts its journey. So here P1 works, P1 uses the CPU for 2 seconds, then P2 has done its job and will take 2 seconds only. Then P1 do the rest of its journey, rest of its work. Okay, so it will end at 4 8. The rest time is 8 for P1. Okay, okay. So if we do something like this, so it may look good because here P2 arrives at second, but for 2 minutes for 2 seconds job it has to wait a long time actually. Okay, when P1 is done, it will do its job. So it's not good actually. Okay, so why not good? Because only SJF, SJ, mm, okay. Why this is not working? Because at the second scheduler takes the CPU from P1 and gives P2 to do its job. But we have seen that SJF is non-preemptive job. Okay, so scheduler just came and take the CPU from P1 and gives it to uh, P2. That's not gonna happen actually. Okay, so when the scheduler do this kind of job, we can call it preemptive SJF. Okay, preemptive SJF. Here we will see that. Okay, next in the next slide we will see that preemptive SJF. We can call it preemptive SJF. So okay, so SJF is not always optimal. We have seen that in this lecture, in this slide. So we can think like this. Okay, so P2 has to wait a short time, or time will be short. So average time will be short. We will see that in the next lecture. Okay, in the next slide. Okay, now here comes the preemptive SJF. It is also called shortest remaining time next. Okay, so when I in the final examination, if you see that run TNT-FSJF in the topology of the processes. Okay, so or shortest remaining time next. Okay, so you need to memorize this. Actually preemptive SJF, that means actually it is shortest remaining time next algorithm. Okay, schedule the job with the shortest remaining time required to complete. Okay, so here comes the important thing. Schedule the job with the shortest remaining time required to complete. Okay, so shortest remaining time is very important right now to us. Okay, so when new job arrives, compare its total time with the remaining time of the running job. That means oh shit. হ্যাঁ, okay, এই জিনিসটা একটু খেয়াল করেন যে হ্যাঁ so here P1 is working fine. Okay, fine. P1 is working fine. At the time of 2 or at second, P2 has arrived or P2 arrived. P2 arrives. Sorry, P2 arrives with duration time 2. So at this moment, the remaining time of P1 to finish its job is 8 seconds because the total duration time of P1 equals to 10 seconds. So at second, it has already tasks. It has done already tasks of 2 seconds. Okay. So now at second, P2 the remaining tasks, the remaining time to finish its finish its job for P1 is 8 seconds. But P2 comes with only 2 seconds job. So here the remaining time of P1 is greater than P2. So P2 will get the chance. It will get the CPU from scheduler, because scheduler finds a process with lower or shortest remaining time other than the current job. Okay, so so if the new job needs less time, then the current job is suspended and the new job started. So the current job is suspended by scheduler, and the current status of that job also saved saved by scheduler. Then uh, scheduler gives CPU to the recently arrived but newly processed. Okay, then the new job started. So requirement: the runtime needs to be known in advance. Okay, so here is the requirement. Uh, each sorry, the runtime of each process must be known to the scheduler. Otherwise it cannot the scheduler cannot determine which job should be run right now. Okay, so যদি গ্যান্ট চার্টটা দেখি সেটা হবে কিরকম। Where is this? Okay, now we see the we say example of preemptive SJF. Okay, so in preemptive I am saying another I am saying again, in preemptive SJF, scheduler has the capability to take the CPU from current job to uh, uh, if it finds any shortest remaining job at that moment. Okay, so then the scheduler will give the secret to the shortest that process who has the shortest remaining time to finish its job. Okay, so now P1 needs 10 seconds or 10 minutes. Arrival time is 0, but P2's arrival time is 2, but it needs only 2 seconds to finish its job. Okay, so now P1, we have drawn this actually in the last slide. So P1 starts its job because it's alone. No one is competing with him. Yes, and no other competitors are no other competitor is here at the 0 second or at the P1's arrival time. Okay, so now P1 starts its journey, and from 0 it starts at 0, and at the second P2 comes. Okay, now P2 needs 2 minutes 2 seconds to finish its job, but at the time of at the second time P1 needs more 8 minutes to finish its job, because the total duration of P1 is 10. So after 2 seconds it will need it needs more 8 seconds to finish its job. So P2 has the shortest remaining time. Okay, so P2 has the as P2 has the shortest remaining time, it gets the CPU from the scheduler. So P2 will start its journey. P1 gets blocked by scheduler at time 2, and P2 starts P2 starts its job at 2 and end by 4. After P2 has done, P1 will start again from 4 and will end by 12. Okay, so this is fine. So if we calculate the turnaround time, it will be different from normal SJF. Okay, how? Let's see. For P1, end time is 12 and start time is ki, arrival time is ki 0. Arrival time is 0. So P1's end time is 12 minus P1's arrival time is 0. Equals to 12 minus 0 equal to k, 12. But for P2, the end time is 4. End time is 4 minus end time is 4 minus its arrival time is 2. So 4 minus 2 equals to 2. So there is a mistake, I hope so. It should be 2. It should be 2. Yes, yeah, there is a mistake because it's waiting time. Okay. Uh, it should be 2. Okay, it should be 2. Maybe I fixed this issue before, but right now I am not. Uh, Maybe it should be 12. 12 plus plus 2. So 12 plus 2 divided by 2 will be 7, which will be the turnaround time. Okay. So I will upload the. You have to fix this issue by after seeing my video in your slide, in the given slide. Okay, in the class. Okay, now the average turnaround time is 7. Okay, so now if when we use non-preemptive algorithm, non-preemptive SJF, the average time was 10 seconds. Okay, average turnaround time was 10 seconds. But in preemptive SJF, it's only 7 seconds. So in preemptive SJF, we are watching that the preemptive SJF has the shorter average turnaround time than normal non-preemptive SJF. Okay, so shortest remaining time next is also a good example of SJF when the arrival time are not same of all processes. Okay, so after getting the question, you have to find first the if the whether the arrival time of all processes is equal. Okay, if they are not equal, we have to but you have to run preemptive SJF simulation to find that average turnaround time, or the best algorithm will be the preemptive SJF. But if the arrival time of each processes is not same, if there are different times different arrival times of processes, so then okay, what I said was wrong maybe. If the arrival time is same for all for all processes, we have to use non-preemptive SJs, the first one. Okay, if the arrival time is different for different processes, so then we will have to use preemptive SJ. Okay, to find the best algorithm. Okay, for the scheduler. So that's it. If you calculate the average wait time, you will see also the same issue, because we are trying to minimize the turnaround time. So that means we are also trying to minimize the average waiting time actually. Okay, here is a PDF with average time. Okay, so when SJF uh, Ajay, when the arrival time is different, we use non-preemptive SJF, and we use non-preemptive SJF the Gantt chart will be like this. Okay, the our first one actually. So if we calculate the waiting time for P1, we don't have to wait any time. Okay, we don't have to wait time because P1 comes at first and there is no competitor to compete with P1. Okay, so now P1 for P1 waiting time is 0, but P2 arrive at 2 second, arrived at second, but it starts its job at 10 seconds. So it has to wait. It has to wait 10 minus 2, 8 seconds. Okay. So the arrival waiting time of P2 is 8. So the average waiting time will be 0 plus 8 divided by 2 to 4. Okay. For but when if we use shortest remaining time first or preemptive SJF, what I did, what which already which already I showed you. Now, for preemptive SJF, the Gantt chart will be like this. We did draw this Gantt chart. For in this scenario, we have to calculate the waiting time. Uh, Calculate the waiting time carefully because P1 starts its journey at second. That doesn't mean that doesn't mean its average time will be 0 because in the middle of its job, in the middle of P1's job, P1 has to stop. P1 stop working. P1 stop working because of the scheduler. Okay, or P1 gets blocked by scheduler. Here there is 2 seconds. Okay, so the time is 2 seconds. So for P2 for P2 for P2 P1 has to wait 2 seconds here. Okay, so the waiting time for P1 will be 2 seconds. Okay, the duration, the total time of the total duration or burst time of P2's job. Okay, so this is 2 seconds. But important fact is that when P2 arrives at second, it gets the CPU from the from the scheduler because it has the shortest remaining time to finish its job. Okay. So P1 P1 doesn't P1 need not wait in this scenario. Okay. So waiting time of P2, sorry, P1, sorry, P2, P2 need not wait in this scenario, in this preemptive SJF because of the scheduler. So waiting time of P2 is 0. So the average time in preemptive SJF is 0 plus 2 divided by 2 equals to 1, which is shorter than non-preemptive SJF. Okay. So you can see that here is the answer was 4. Okay, so you can see that we get a minimum get a shorter value than the previous one. Okay, when arrival time is different for each processes, preemptive SJF will work fine. Okay, so now uh, here comes the very fun part. Here comes the very fun part. Uh, Problem with preemptive SJF. Okay, so Let's think. At first, we have a we at first we get at first scheduler gets a request from process A, process A, and it will take 100 seconds. So P1 for at that as there is no competitor, to compete with A will start. Scheduler uh, Scheduler gives the CPU to process A, and process A will start its job. Okay, after 5 seconds, think another process P2 will come. P2 comes P2 comes with the burst time of its job is 1 millisecond, but 1 second. Okay, so a process A gets blocked. Here A works for A takes the CPU for 5 seconds, but after 5th second, sorry, no, 1 second, like 2 seconds. So A takes the CPU for 5 seconds, and after 5th second P2 comes. So P2 will get the CPU because it has shorter uh, uh, shortest remaining time to finish its job, shortest duration or shortest burst time to finish its job, because A needs more 95 minutes to finish its job. So P2 will take the scheduler. So but every 1 minute a short process with runtime of 1 minute arrives. Okay, or every 2 seconds a short process with runtime of 2 seconds arrives. Result of preemptive as A never gets to run. Okay, so that means যে প্রতি 2 সেকেন্ড পর পর যদি আপনার হচ্ছে একটা একটা করে শর্টেজ জব আসতে থাকে, প্রতি 2 সেকেন্ড পর পর একটা করে সবাই হচ্ছে চান্স পাবে, কারণ এর তো কখনো চান্স পাওয়া আসলে হবে না, তাই না? দ্যাটস দ্য প্রবলেম অ্যাকচুয়ালি উইথ প্রিএমটিভ এসজিএফ। সো এটাই হচ্ছে মেইন প্রবলেম আর কি, যে এই কাজ শুরু করলো বাট প্রতি 2 সেকেন্ড পর একটা একটা করে শর্টেজ জব আসতেছে, তাহলে এ কখনো তার কাজ শেষ করতে পারবে না। দিস ইজ কল্ড স্টারভেশন। In IPC, interprocess communication, we have learned about starvation. Okay, so here is a question, a good question. What's the difference between starvation and deadlock? So we looked into we knew already what is deadlock and what is starvation. This is starvation. Okay. Uh, okay, we will see. Next, if we have time to discuss, if I have time to discuss the deadlock chapter. Okay. So now schedule rhythm is quite fine for us. So now here comes interactive system. So I told you about interactive systems, like there will be some users or clients who always or continuously request make request to the okay, multiple servers. Okay, so servers server multiple remote users sorry, servers will serve multiple remote users, all of whom are in a big hurry. Okay, what are the performance criteria for interaction system? This is a very good question. For batch system, it was turnaround time, average turnaround time, or average waiting time, or throughput. That means number of jobs per hour. Okay. So, but in interactive system, performance criteria are not same with uh, uh, with what in batch system. Batch system. Okay. So here, minimum response time. I in the last lecture in the last lecture in the beginning part, we read this. We have learned this. Yeah. Uh, in interactive system, minimum response time is very important. Respond to request quickly, because because I asked when because a user types some website name in the Google browser. If Google needs more time than Internet Explorer to serve the page to the user, then the user will not use Google Chrome. Okay, they will use more Internet Explorer. It's the hypothesis, because Internet Explorer is dead already. Okay, so server will have to serve server has to serve uh, the request quickly to the users. Okay, base proportionality meet users expectation. I i had discussed with you what is how to meet users expectation in the last class. Okay, now there are different kinds of algorithms in interactive system: round robin, priority based, shortest process time, guaranteed scheduling, scheduling or lottery scheduling, fair sharing and scheduling. So we will look into some algorithms. Okay, let's start. Algorithms used here usually primitive. Okay, so actually in interactive systems, the algorithms actually used to be are actually used to be a preemptive algorithm. Actually, okay, so time is sliced into quantum. Okay, so আমরা হ্যাঁ, আপনার যদি কারণ মনে পড়ে যে আমরা হচ্ছে এই কোর্সের শুরুতে very beginning of this course, when I discussed with you the process graph, process states versus time graph, we saw the quantum value. Okay, the time intervals. Okay, so this is actually means uh, if a process gets the CPU, what time it will continue its job without the scheduler's interruption. Okay, or uh, so scheduling decision is also made at the beginning of each quantum. Okay, so scheduling decision গুলো হচ্ছে আমরা at the end of each quantum we have to করতে পারি। Okay? So what is round robin? So actually I taught you the round robin scheduling algorithm in the in the very beginning of this course. Okay, where when I taught you the process states or process states versus time diagram, I told you the scheduler will give any process will give the CPU to any process at max a quantum time. Okay, so at max a quantum time actually or certain time. Okay, this is called a quantum here. Okay, often used for time sharing. Ready queue is treated as circular queue. Each process is given a time size called quantum. It is run for the quantum or until it blocks. Okay, so uh, when any process gets the CPU, it runs for maximum quantum time or it gets blocked. Okay, so round robin allocates the CPU uniformly across. Okay, or fairly across actually. Okay, so from participants are from actually ready queue. Okay, problem: do not consider priority context switch overhead. Okay, so we will look into this problem. We will look into these problems in the after the simulation of this round robin algorithm in the example. Okay, so okay. Uh, Ready queue is treated as a circular queue. Why there is a circular queue? We will look in the next slide. Like, here is. So the current process is B2. Suppose, each process can work at max 5 seconds at a stage. Okay. So B2 will run for 5 seconds. Then F will get the CPU from the scheduler. So uh, it will run for 5 seconds again. Then D will run for 5 seconds. Then blah blah blah. G will come. Then A will come. After then A after after A's quantum time is over with having the CPU to do its job, then B will come again. B will come again. So this is a circular. Then A to B. So actually we can think like that. What is the- we can think like that after A, then B will come again. Again B will work for 5 seconds, then F will work for 5 seconds, then D will work for 5 seconds, and then G, then A, then again B. So this looks like this ready queue looks like a circular queue. That's it. Problems will be discussed. Problems will be discussed at the end of the simulation of round robin logic. Okay. So now we can look into we look into a scenario. Okay. Now here comes the fun part. Round robin algorithm with time quantum is fixed if, and this is 20 seconds. Okay. So P1 needs 53 seconds, P2 needs 17 seconds, P3 needs 68 seconds, P4 needs 24 seconds. Okay. So now আমরা যদি Gantt chart, so now we have to draw the Gantt chart for round robin algorithm. Okay, so so the arrival time of each process of all processes is same, so we have no headache in the arrival time. So P1 starts at 0 and it will work for 20 seconds because the quantum time is 20. So after 20 seconds, P2 will start its job because in or we in P1, P2, P3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here 1, 2, 3, 4 as fours are the orders. Okay, so P1 will come first, then P2, then P3, then P4. It's in order. Okay, that's why they wrote like P1, P2, P3, and P4. Okay, so now, after then P1, P2 will come and it will work for 20 seconds because the quantum time is 20. The scheduler gives him the chance of working 20 seconds. But but the runtime of P2 is only 17 seconds. So it starts at 20 and it ends by 37. 20 plus 17. Okay. So then P3 P3 will come to the action. Okay, will come in the action. P3 starts its journey from 37 and will work for 20 seconds because the quantum is 20. So P3 will work for only 20 seconds. Okay. So P1 has done its 20 seconds job. P2 is finished already. P2 is finished already. P3 has done its job of 20 seconds. Okay. Has done its 20 seconds. Okay. Now, then after 57th second, P4 will come to the action. P4 will start at 50. P4 will start its job at 57 and will do its job at a stage for 20 seconds because the quantum time is 20 seconds. So 57 from 57 to 77, P4 will its P4 will do its 20 seconds job. Now here comes the fun part again. Then after P4, then P1 will come again. So P1 will come again. P1 will do another 20 seconds job because uh, for first in the first chance P2 done its 20th job. It has done its 17th job. It has done it 20 seconds job. It has done its 20 seconds job. Okay, so now it will have more 33 seconds job. Okay, so P1 P1 will do its job from 77 to 97 seconds. Okay, so another 20 seconds will down from sorry will uh, out from its runtime of runtime. Okay, from P1's runtime. Okay, then P3 will start. P3 will get P3 will get the chance at 97 seconds again because P2 has finished its job. Okay, as P2 has finished its job, so at the 97 second, P3 gets the CPU from the scheduler because P2 has done its job already. So P3 will work again 20 seconds and end by 117. Okay, now P4 has already done its 20 seconds job. So so the remaining time to finish its job or P4's job is only 4 seconds. So P4 get the chance. P4 will get the chance at 117 second and work for only 4 seconds. Okay, then it has done its job perfectly. Okay. So after P4, then P1 will come. So P1, okay, now P1 already done its 40 seconds job. So the remaining time to finish its job only 13 seconds. ठीक है, because 20 20 40 and 53 minus 40 equal to 13. So it needs a more 13 seconds to finish its job. So now P1 at 121 second, P1 will work for only 13 seconds. So P1 start from 121 and end by 134. So P1 has done after 134. P1 has done its job perfectly. Then P3 will do the rest of its job. So P3 will need another P3 will work another 20 minutes. As it has no competitor, it will work for another 20 20 20. So 60 minutes gone. So the remaining time will be so 8 minutes. So after 154 second, it will do another 8 seconds job to finish its task properly. Okay, so the end time will be 162. So after 160 second, P3 also has done its job perfectly. Okay, so no more objections, no more problem. Okay, so using round robin with content and 20, we have just draw the Gantt chart. Okay, so now we have to calculate the turnaround time or average turnaround time to compare round robin algorithm with uh, the last best one of ours, which was shortest job first. Because here no empty, because the arrival time of all jobs are same. So we now compare with non-preemptive SJF and round robin algorithm. Okay, so for the same scenario, if we shortest non-preemptive shortest of first algorithm, it will be like that. So P2 has the shortest time, so P2 will do it works from 0 to 17. Then 24 is the second P2. At first P2 has done its job, then the scheduler gives the CPU to P4 because because among P1 and P3 and P4 has the shortest runtime to finish its job. So P4 starts from 17 and end by 41. Then P4 has done its job. Then from between P1 and P3, the scheduler picks P1 to finish its job. So from after P4 has done, P1 will start and works at a stage 53 minutes and ends by 94. Then P1 has done also. So P3 will start this job as it has no competitor to compete with him. So it ends at 162. Okay, so uh, so actually we can see that we can see that both in both algorithm, the amount time, the amount of time, the amount, sorry, the time of uh, the time to need, sorry, so the total time for both algorithms are same. Okay, so now we cannot just say that we cannot say just like SDF is better or round robin is better. Okay, so we have to calculate another performance metrics to find which one is the uh, best among them. Okay, so now uh, for round robin we have to find the uh, turnaround time. Okay, so for P1 ends at 134. So P1's arrival time is 0. So 134 minus 0 is the turnaround time for process P1. For process P2 ends at 37. So 37 minus arrival time equals to koto? 0, because P2's arrival time is 0. And P3's arrival time is end time is 162. So at turnaround time of P3 equals to 162 minus 0. For P4 we are finding turnarounds for on round robin this time. Okay, so it will be where P4 ends 121. So the turnaround time in round robin algorithm for process P1 is 24 minus, no, sorry, 121 minus 0, 120 minus 0. So the average turnaround time is 113.5. So now uh, what- but in SJF turnaround time is 17 minus 0 plus 41 plus AJ, just end time minus start end time minus arrival time, as arrival time are same and it is 0. So 17 minus 0 plus 41 minus 0 plus 94 minus 0 plus 164 minus 0 divided by 162 minus 0 divided by 4. In SJF it will 77.5. So what's going actually, what is going there actually, in SJF the average turnaround time we find that is only 77.5 seconds. This is much shorter than round robin with content time 20. The turnaround time of in round robin algorithm is so much large, 113.5, compared to shortest of first the non-preemptive SDF. Okay, but the main theme is when P2 wars, P4 wars, P3 wars, and sorry, P1 wars and P3 wars, when when a process gets the chance to work, it it works fine. That is good, but but for in but when the question arises from the response from the server, which one will be the which one will be great? Because uh, which will be great? Of course, round robin. Why? Because after 20 seconds, server or scheduler gives response to P2 or P3, after some time P3, after some time P4, again P1, again P3, again P4, again P1, P3, P4. So, but here P4, sorry, here P3 starts its job at 94th second. So, but P3 in round robin algorithm starts its job only at 37th second. So, huge difference. P3 gets the CPU quickly in the round robin. So that means a better response from the scheduler or server. That's the goal. So when it comes to the question when it comes to interactive systems, round robin algorithm is very good because for round robin algorithm the matrix performance is minimum response time. Okay, the main metric performance the main performance metric is response time. So in round robin the response time of each process is very short in other than SJF. In SJF the turnaround time is short, but the response time is quite high. So uh, so for this scenario, when if I mention about batch process, then you have to do non-preemptive algorithm, or you have to learn, you have to run. But when I if I mention that this scenario is for in this scenario is from an interactive system, so then with quantum time 20, so we have to use round robin algorithm. Okay, that's the uh, play for now. Okay, so I think it's quite clear now when to use non-preemptive SJF, preemptive SJF, and round robin algorithm. So the very basic idea is if each process has same arrival time and in it comes in a batch system, in a batch it comes to a batch system, so definitely we will go for non-preemptive SJF. But but when the arrival time is different for each processes and it comes to an uh, batch system, we have to use preemptive SJF. But when the arrival time of each process of all processes is same and it comes to an interactive system like server client systems or like something like that systems, we have to use obviously we have to use the round robin algorithm. That's the main classic that's the main three scenarios, and you need to know when you use SJF or preemptive SJF or shortest remaining time next or round robin algorithm. Okay, so our last topic is choice of time quantum. So if context acha, okay, we will look into the next. We'll learn this in the next lecture with the other algorithms. Today's class is for this is for today's class. Okay, next class we will see after 1 1 1. Okay, so